What separates a true master from someone who simply knows a few tricks? When you watch legends like Messi weave through 5 defenders, or see Neymar leave opponents questioning their own existence, you're witnessing something far beyond basic ball skills. These players have achieved true mastery of dribbling, and today we're going to break down exactly what that means and how you can develop it yourself. Mastery isn't about learning 50 different stepovers or memorizing flashy YouTube moves. True mastery is about developing an intuitive understanding of space, timing, and human psychology that makes you virtually impossible to defend against. It's about transforming dribbling from a collection of techniques into a fluid art form where every movement serves a purpose and every touch creates opportunity. The difference between knowing how to dribble and mastering dribbling is like the difference between knowing words and being a poet. Anyone can learn the vocabulary, but only masters understand how to combine those elements into something that moves people, or in this case, something that moves past people. The psychology behind elite movement. Before we dive into the physical aspects, we need to understand what's happening in the minds of both attacker and defender during a dribbling situation. Elite dribblers have learned to weaponize human psychology, exploiting the natural ways our brains process information and make split-second decisions. Human beings are essentially prediction machines. Our brains constantly analyze patterns and attempt to forecast what will happen next, based on previous experiences. This is why defenders often react before attackers have even fully committed to a movement. They're not just defending against what you're doing right now, they're defending against what they think you're about to do. Masters of dribbling understand this and deliberately feed false information to their opponents. They've learned to control not just their own movements, but the defender's expectations and reactions. When Messi drops his shoulder, or when Ronaldinho hesitates for just a fraction of a second, they're not just moving their bodies, they're manipulating their opponent's decision-making process. This psychological warfare extends beyond simple body feints. Elite dribblers create what neuroscientists call cognitive overload in their opponents, by presenting multiple attacking options simultaneously and constantly shifting between them. They force defenders to process too much information too quickly, leading to hesitation, delayed reactions, or complete mental breakdowns. The science of untouchable control. What makes certain players seem to have the ball glued to their feet, while others struggle to maintain possession under pressure? The answer lies in developing what sports scientists call enhanced proprioception, combined with predictive ball control. Proprioception is your body's ability to sense its position and movement in space without visual input. Elite dribblers have developed this sense to an extraordinary degree through years of deliberate practice. They don't need to look at the ball because they can feel exactly where it is and where it's going at all times. This frees up their vision to read defenders, spot teammates, and identify spaces to exploit. But proprioception alone isn't enough. Masters also develop predictive control, which means they're not just reacting to the ball's current position, they're anticipating where it will be several touches ahead. This allows them to prepare their body position, adjust their stride pattern, and set up their next move while the ball is still traveling from their previous touch. This level of control creates what we call temporal advantage. While defenders are reacting to what just happened, elite dribblers are already executing what happens next. They exist slightly ahead in time, making them appear to have supernatural reflexes, when in reality, they're simply operating with superior anticipation and preparation. Mastering the art of deception. True dribbling mastery involves becoming a master of deception, but not in the way most players think. It's not about elaborate fake moves or exaggerated body movements. The most effective deception is often the most subtle. Elite dribblers understand that defenders primarily focus on 3 key indicators: the ball, the hips, and the eyes. By learning to manipulate these visual cues independently, they can send conflicting signals that overload the defender's processing system. For example, a player might shift their hips left while keeping their eyes focused right and touching the ball straight ahead. This creates a decision-making nightmare for the defender. The timing of deceptive movements is crucial. Amateur players often telegraph their intentions too early, giving defenders time to recover and adjust. Masters wait until the last possible moment to reveal their true direction when the defender has already committed their weight and momentum in the wrong direction. Advanced deception also involves understanding the defender's psychology and current state. A tired defender will react differently than a fresh one. A defender who's already been beaten once will approach the next duel with different mental preparation. Elite dribblers read these subtle cues and adjust their deceptive tactics accordingly. The flow state philosophy. Perhaps the most important aspect of dribbling mastery is learning to enter what psychologists call a flow state while under pressure. In this state, conscious thought disappears and movement becomes purely instinctive. Time seems to slow down, and complex decisions happen automatically without mental effort. Professional footballers describe this feeling as the ball becomes part of your body, or everything just clicks. They're not consciously deciding which move to use or analyzing the defender's position. Instead, they're responding fluidly to the situation as it unfolds, like water flowing around obstacles. Developing this ability requires training that goes beyond technical repetition. You need to practice making decisions under pressure in unpredictable situations, with multiple variables changing simultaneously. Static cone drills might improve your technique, but they won't develop the adaptive intelligence required for mastery. The key is creating training scenarios that force your brain to process information and make decisions at game speed. This develops what neuroscientists call neural efficiency, where your brain requires less conscious effort to perform complex tasks, leaving more mental resources available for creativity and adaptation. If there is 2 words to summarize this whole video up for you, it would be play pickup. Playing those small-sided games, casuals with friends, 7v7s or whatever is the only way which it forces you to be in so many scenarios. Advanced training for mastery. To develop true mastery, your training must challenge both your physical and cognitive systems simultaneously. Here's how to structure your development for maximum effectiveness. Constraint-based training forces creative problem solving by imposing artificial limitations. Practice dribbling in increasingly small spaces, reducing the number of touches allowed, or restricting yourself to specific parts of your foot. These constraints force your brain to develop novel solutions and strengthen neural pathways related to quick decision-making and spatial awareness. Chaos training involves practicing under unpredictable conditions with multiple variables changing simultaneously. The most efficient way to develop this is by playing pickup games, 7v7s, and other small-sided games. This develops the adaptive intelligence required to excel in real game situations. Pressure training focuses on maintaining technical excellence while under physical, temporal, and psychological stress. Practice with minimal time, in small spaces, against aggressive pressure, and with consequences for mistakes. This builds the mental resilience required to perform at your highest level when it matters most. The mental game of elite dribbling. Physical technique is only half the equation. The mental aspect of dribbling mastery involves developing unshakable confidence, creative expression, and fearless decision-making. Elite dribblers don't just beat defenders physically, they dominate them mentally. This starts with reframing failure. Average players fear making mistakes and play conservatively to avoid embarrassment. Masters understand that spectacular failures often precede spectacular successes. They embrace risk because they know that playing it safe is the biggest risk of all. Developing an artist's mindset transforms dribbling from a mechanical skill into creative expression. Instead of following predetermined patterns, you begin to improvise, to create something unique in each situation. This unpredictability is what makes truly elite dribblers impossible to prepare for. The confidence required for mastery must be built through systematic success under increasingly difficult conditions. Start with scenarios where you can succeed consistently, then gradually increase the difficulty while maintaining high success rates. This builds genuine confidence based on proven ability rather than empty positive thinking. Bringing it all together. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a continuous journey of refinement and development. Every training session, every match, every touch of the ball is an opportunity to deepen your understanding and improve your craft. The players we admire didn't achieve their level overnight, and neither will you. But here's what I can promise you. If you commit to developing these principles consistently, you will notice a fundamental shift in how you approach the game. Defenders will begin to hesitate before engaging you. You'll find spaces that didn't exist before. Movement will become more fluid, more natural, more instinctive. Most importantly, you'll begin to experience the pure joy that comes from mastering a beautiful skill. There's nothing quite like the feeling of gliding past a defender with perfect timing and technique, knowing that you've just executed something that few people in the world can do. Remember, mastery is about understanding principles, not memorizing moves. It's about developing intelligence, not just athleticism. It's about becoming an artist of movement, someone who paints masterpieces with every touch of the ball. The path to mastery starts with your very next training session. Make it count.
While millions of young footballers spend hours perfecting their stepovers around static cones, professional academies have completely revolutionized how they develop players. The gap between traditional training methods and modern football development has never been wider. Players still using outdated training approaches aren't just wasting time, they're actively falling behind competitors who understand what actually creates elite footballers. The harsh reality is that most amateur training looks nothing like the game itself. And that's exactly why so many talented players plateau before reaching their potential. Traditional training revolves around endless cone weaving and isolated technical drills. Players spend entire sessions dribbling through static obstacles with zero pressure, zero decision making, and zero game relevance. Don't get me wrong, using cones is essential for developing functional technique and is incredibly useful for beginners and even advanced players. Those repetitions strengthen muscle memory and sharpen touch to prevent rustiness. But as you progress into a more advanced player, cone work becomes less about developing technique and more about maintaining it for fitness or sharpness. The problem is when players get stuck in this phase forever. Real football involves unpredictable defenders, limited space, and split-second decisions. Cone dribbling produces players who look skillful in training, but struggle in actual matches because they've never learned to execute technique under cognitive load. Building on the cone trap, most amateur training breaks football into isolated components. Passing drills without defenders, shooting without pressure, fitness, running without the ball. This compartmentalized approach ignores how the brain actually processes football. Professional players don't think, now I'm passing, now I'm dribbling, now I'm shooting. They execute complex technical actions while simultaneously processing tactical information, tracking opponent movements, and making split-second decisions. Training each skill in isolation creates players who can't integrate their abilities under match conditions. It's like learning to drive by practicing steering in one lesson, braking in another, and acceleration in a third. You never learn how they work together. Taking this isolation problem even further, traditional football training often mirrors generic gym workouts. Long-distance running, basic strength exercises, and linear movement patterns. This approach completely misses the specific demands of modern football. Match analysis reveals that professional players perform thousands of micro-accelerations, directional changes, and explosive movements throughout a game. They need reactive strength, not just absolute strength. They need the ability to maintain technical precision while fatigued, not just cardiovascular endurance. Generic fitness creates athletes who are fit for running, not for football. The final piece of this outdated puzzle is the belief that more training automatically equals better results. This mentality leads to excessive volume without strategic recovery, causing what exercise physiologists call non-functional overreaching. Here's the thing, the body adapts during recovery, not during training. Many players train so much that they never give their bodies time to actually improve. Players who overtrain without proper recovery actually regress in performance, experiencing decreased reaction times, impaired decision-making, and increased injury risk. It's like trying to build muscle by lifting weights 24/7 without sleep. Counterproductive. So, what's the alternative? Modern football development uses what sports scientists call chaos training. Unpredictable scenarios that force rapid adaptation. Instead of predictable cone patterns, elite players train with random obstacles, changing objectives, and time pressure. This approach develops the ability to simultaneously process visual information and execute technical skills. Think of it like jazz musicians who can improvise because they've mastered the fundamentals. They can adapt to any situation because they've trained for unpredictability. Building on this chaos approach, elite development programs layer cognitive challenges onto technical training. Players must execute skills while processing multiple information streams: opponent positions, teammate movements, tactical instructions, and time pressure. This creates players who maintain technical precision under mental fatigue. The brain learns to automate technical execution while dedicating cognitive resources to tactical decision making. It's like learning to drive while having a conversation. At first it's impossible, but eventually the driving becomes automatic. This cognitive approach extends to position-specific development. Professional academies abandon one-size-fits-all training for position-specific development. Center backs train different movement patterns than wingers. Midfielders develop different visual scanning techniques than strikers. This specificity extends to fitness training. Goalkeepers need explosive power for diving, while central midfielders need the ability to repeat sprints throughout matches. It makes sense. You wouldn't train a sprinter the same way you train a marathon runner. The next evolution is integrating technique and tactics simultaneously. Players don't learn passing in isolation, then tactics separately. They develop passing accuracy while learning when to pass, where to pass, and how to receive the next pass. This creates players who understand the why behind every technical action. Instead of mindlessly hitting passes to feet, players learn to hit passes that set up their teammates' next move. It's the difference between knowing how to use a tool and knowing when to use it. Finally, elite programs treat recovery with the same precision as training. Players use heart rate variability monitoring to optimize sleep, nutrition periodization to fuel adaptation, and active recovery protocols to maintain freshness. This scientific approach to recovery allows for higher training intensities and better adaptation. Teams with superior recovery protocols have significantly fewer injuries and maintain higher performance levels throughout seasons. Recovery isn't just rest, it's strategic regeneration. So, with all being said, the question becomes, how do you actually implement this modern approach? The transformation starts with your relationship to training itself. Stop viewing practice as something you endure and start treating it as problem-solving sessions. Every drill should answer a specific question. How do I receive under pressure? How do I create space in tight areas? How do I maintain composure when defenders close me down? This mindset shift alone will accelerate your development dramatically. The first practical step is restructuring your individual training sessions. Replace traditional cone work with what elite academies call constraint-based training. Set up scenarios with built-in decision points. Dribble through gates, but the gate changes every 5 seconds, forcing you to scan and adapt. Practice first touches, but add time pressure. You have 3 seconds to control and play forward. This trains your brain to process information while executing technique, exactly what happens in real matches. Small-sided games become your primary development tool, not a warm-up activity. Professional academies dedicate 60 to 70% of training time to game-realistic scenarios because they produce faster learning than any isolated drill. Find or create 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, and 5 versus 5 games with rotating objectives. Sometimes you can only score after 5 passes. Sometimes you must use your weak foot. Sometimes the goals move. These constraints force adaptability and creative problem solving under pressure. The mental component requires equal attention. Elite players don't just visualize success, they prepare for adversity. Spend time mentally rehearsing how you'll respond when things go wrong. Missed passes, defensive pressure, physical fatigue. This psychological preparation prevents panic during actual matches. Champions like Lamine Yamal maintain composure against world-class defenders because they've already solved these problems mentally before stepping on the pitch. Your training partners matter more than your training methods. Seek players who challenge you, even if it means being the worst player in better groups initially. Being uncomfortable forces adaptation. Join pickup games with older, stronger, more experienced players. The temporary ego bruising pays dividends in accelerated learning. You'll develop faster in 6 months playing up than in 2 years dominating your comfort zone. Recovery becomes a performance strategy, not an afterthought. Track your sleep quality, not just quantity. Monitor how different foods affect your energy and focus during training. Learn to distinguish between productive fatigue that signals adaptation and destructive fatigue that signals overtraining. The best players aren't those who train the most. They're those who train the smartest and recover the most effectively. Position-specific development accelerates once you understand your role's unique demands. If you're a winger, focus on 1 versus 1 situations, crossing under pressure and defensive recovery sprints. If you're a central midfielder, emphasize receiving on the half turn, switching play under pressure, and maintaining passing accuracy while fatigued. Generic training produces generic players. Specialists who master their role's specific requirements always outperform jack-of-all-trades players. The implementation timeline matters. Technical improvements appear within weeks, but tactical understanding develops over months through accumulated match experience. Physical adaptations follow their own schedule. Explosive power responds quickly, while endurance improvements take longer. Understanding these different timelines prevents frustration and maintains motivation during plateaus. Most importantly, embrace the process over the outcome. Players who focus solely on results, making the team, impressing scouts, achieving recognition, often plateau when results don't come immediately. Players who fall in love with daily improvement, who find satisfaction in small technical gains and tactical insights, continue developing regardless of external validation. This process-focused mindset separates players who reach their potential from those who stall at intermediate levels. Your football development journey doesn't require perfect facilities, expensive coaching, or genetic gifts. It requires understanding how elite players actually develop and having the discipline to apply these principles consistently. The methods exist. The science is clear. The only variable is your commitment to training like the professional you aspire to become. The difference between good players and great ones isn't talent. It's the willingness to train in ways that most players never discover. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my uploads. If you are a serious baller, make sure to get some of my free guides listed in the description below. And as always, enjoy the beautiful game.
You felt it before? That moment when everything clicks and you're playing like you've never played before. Time slows down. Every touch is perfect. Every decision is instant. You're not thinking, you're just being. But then it's gone and you're left wondering how to get back to that place. What if I told you that feeling isn't random? That the world's best players have learned to flip that switch whenever they need it most? What you experienced wasn't luck or coincidence. It was your performance alter ego taking control. This is the secret that separates good players from legends. The mental transformation that turns ordinary athletes into absolute monsters on the field. Today, you're going to discover exactly how the psychological switch works, and more importantly, how to access it whenever you need it most. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to create your own performance identity that can dominate any match, any pressure situation, any moment that matters. Before we dive into the science behind this transformation, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that like button if you're ready to unlock your own alter ego. The alter ego isn't just some mystical concept, it's rooted in solid psychology. When elite athletes access their performance identity, their brain literally changes state. The prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for overthinking and self-doubt, quiets down. Meanwhile, the motor cortex and basal ganglia, which control automatic movement and learned skills, become hyperactive. This creates what researchers call a flow state, where conscious thought gives way to pure instinct and trained muscle memory. Here's the key connection you need to understand. Your alter ego and flow state work together like a perfect team. Think of it like this. Your alter ego is the ignition, and flow state is the cruise mode. You flip the switch with your alter ego so you can enter that confident mindset. Then once you're deep into the game, you slide into flow and play naturally. Your alter ego gets you started, gives you that initial boost of confidence and intensity, but flow state is where you stay for the majority of your best performances. But here's what most people don't understand. This isn't something that just happens to you, it's something you can train. The brain's neuroplasticity means you can literally rewire your neural pathways to access this state more easily. When you repeatedly practice entering your performance identity, you're creating stronger neural connections that make the switch faster and more reliable. The most interesting part is how this affects your stress response. Instead of cortisol flooding your system and creating anxiety, your alter ego actually uses pressure as fuel. Your heart rate might increase, but it becomes controlled power rather than nervous energy. Your breathing deepens naturally. Your focus narrows to exactly what matters most. This is why some players seem to get better under pressure while others crumble. Most players make critical errors when trying to develop their alter ego, and these mistakes can actually make their performance worse. First, let's clarify what an alter ego actually is. It's an identity shift, a deliberate mindset switch where you step into a new version of yourself, someone more fearless, dominant, and aggressive. This is often built on a persona, like telling yourself, on the pitch, I'm not just my regular self, I'm a killer, a beast, a leader. Think of how Kobe Bryant became the Black Mamba, or how Beyonce transforms into Sasha Fierce. The purpose is to leave behind fear, doubt, and hesitation. But here's the biggest mistake players make. They confuse having an alter ego with having a blatant ego. Your performance identity isn't about thinking you're better than everyone else or being arrogant toward teammates. It's not about refusing to pass when necessary or creating problems in the locker room. A true alter ego makes you a better teammate, not a worse one. You become more confident in your abilities, but you're still playing for the team's success. The second major error is trying to force the transformation. You can't just decide to be intense and expect it to work. True alter ego development requires patience and gradual cultivation. It's like building muscle. You start small and progressively overload your mental capacity over time. Another common mistake is copying someone else's performance identity. You might see a player who gets psyched up by screaming and think that's what you need to do. But if that doesn't align with your natural personality, it will feel fake and actually increase your anxiety. Your alter ego needs to be authentically yours, even if it's different from your everyday self. Many players also neglect the gradual building process. They expect to flip the switch perfectly in a championship game without ever practicing it in training. Your alter ego needs to be developed in low-pressure situations first, then gradually tested in more challenging environments. You wouldn't try a new skill move for the first time in a final, so why would you try a new mental state? When a player truly flips the switch, everything about them changes in subtle but powerful ways. Physically, their posture straightens and becomes more grounded. Their breathing shifts from shallow chest breathing to deep diaphragmatic breathing. Their movements become more fluid and decisive. There's no wasted energy or unnecessary tension. Every action has purpose and precision. Mentally, the transformation is even more dramatic. Our self-doubt disappears completely. The inner critic that usually comments on every mistake goes silent. Fear of failure transforms into excitement for challenge. The player becomes completely present, unable to think about past mistakes or future consequences. They exist only in the current moment, responding to what's happening right now. Decision-making becomes instantaneous and intuitive. Instead of analyzing options, they trust their trained instincts. This is why players in this state often make incredible plays that seem impossible to plan. They're not planning. They're reacting with the full power of their subconscious mind and years of training. The behavioral changes are what opponents notice most. The player's body language radiates confidence and determination. They make more eye contact. They occupy space differently, seeming bigger and more imposing. Their communication becomes more direct and purposeful. They start to affect the energy of their entire team, elevating everyone around them. Creating your performance alter ego starts with identifying who you become at your absolute best. Think back to your greatest performances and analyze what was different about you. How did you carry yourself? What was your internal dialogue like? How did you interact with teammates and opponents? This isn't about creating a fake persona, it's about amplifying the best version of yourself. Next, you need to develop specific triggers that activate the state. These could be physical cues like adjusting your shirt or taking 3 deep breaths. They could be mental phrases you repeat to yourself. Some players use visualization, imagining themselves transforming into their performance identity. The key is consistency. Use the same triggers every time so your brain learns to associate them with the desired state. Visualization is crucial for strengthening your alter ego. Spend time mentally rehearsing not just what you'll do, but who you'll be during pressure moments. See yourself moving with confidence, making decisions without hesitation, and performing at your peak. Make these visualizations as vivid as possible, including all your senses. The more real it feels in your mind, the more accessible it becomes on the field. Physical rituals can also support your transformation. This might be a specific warm-up routine, a particular way of putting on your gear, or even a pre-game meal. These rituals serve as bridges between your everyday self and your performance identity. They signal to your brain that it's time to shift into a different mode of being. Like any skill, accessing your alter ego requires deliberate practice. Start in training sessions where the pressure is manageable. Practice entering your performance state before simple drills or scrimmages. Focus on consistency rather than intensity. You want to build the neural pathway gradually. As you become more comfortable with the switch, gradually expose yourself to higher pressure situations. Practice it during competitive training sessions, then in less important games, before finally relying on it in crucial moments. Each successful experience strengthens the neural connection and makes future access easier. The key is learning to maintain your performance identity throughout an entire match, not just in isolated moments. This requires stamina, mental stamina. Just like physical conditioning, you need to build your capacity to stay in this heightened state for extended periods. Practice extending the duration gradually and always have a plan for refreshing your focus during breaks in play. The ability to flip the switch and dominate when it matters most isn't reserved for elite athletes. It's a skill that anyone can develop with the right approach. By understanding the science behind performance states, avoiding common mistakes, and systematically building your own alter ego, you can access that feeling of playing beyond your normal limits whenever you need it. Remember, this isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming the absolute best version of who you already are. Your alter ego is already inside you, waiting to be unleashed. It's that part of you that plays without fear, without doubt, and without limits.
The moment you receive the ball with a defender rushing towards you, everything changes. Your heart rate spikes, time seems to slow down, and suddenly that open field behind the defender looks impossible to reach. Most players freeze in this moment, reverting to panic moves that rarely work, but the elite attackers see something different entirely. They see opportunity disguised as pressure. The biggest mistake players make in one-on-one situations isn't technical at all, it's mental. They approach defenders like obstacles to overcome rather than opponents to outsmart. When you shift your mindset from forcing your way past to intelligently manipulating the defender's movements, everything becomes easier. The defender isn't trying to stop you from a position of strength. They're actually in a reactive state, desperately trying to guess your next move while maintaining their balance and positioning. Think about it from the defender's perspective for a moment. They're backpedaling or approaching at an awkward angle, trying to stay close enough to tackle but far enough away to react to your movements. They're watching your hips, your feet, the ball, and your eyes all simultaneously while running backwards or sideways. This is an incredibly difficult task, and smart attackers exploit this disadvantage ruthlessly. The two fatal mistakes that kill your attacks. Mistake number 1. The dead ball position. Your first touch when receiving the ball in a one-on-one situation determines everything that follows. Most players take their first touch directly toward the defender or straight ahead without any tactical purpose. This immediately puts you at a disadvantage because it gives the defender time to set themselves and close down your options. Even worse, many players stop the ball in positions that completely shut off one side, leaving them with only one predictable option. Imagine you're playing chess, but every time you touch a piece, you freeze for 3 seconds before making your move. You're giving your opponent all the time in the world to think about their next move. That's what stopping the ball in a bad position does in football. It slows you down while the defender gets to read you like an open book. The best dribblers don't stop in dead positions, they keep the ball alive. If you do stop the ball, it should be when both sides are open. Look at how Neymar operates when he stops the ball. He does it in a position where he has the option to explode in either direction. That's why his body feints are so deadly. He makes the defender believe he's going one way, but the moment they commit, he's already gone. Mistake number 2. Pre-planning your moves. The second fatal error is pre-planning your skill moves. When you stop the ball and start thinking about what to do next, you've already lost. Pre-planning and overthinking kills creativity and makes you extremely predictable. When you try to plan a move in advance, you're locking yourself into a script that might not even match what's happening in front of you. The best dribblers don't play like robots, thinking, first I'll do the step over, then I'll cut inside. They play on instinct. That's what makes them unreadable. They react to the moment, adjusting based on what the defender gives them. Messi himself said, "I never think about the play or visualize anything. I do what comes to me at that moment." Instinct. It has always been that way. When not to take them on. Strategic awareness. The most important aspect of beating defenders is knowing when not to take them on. If you're isolated with poor support, if the angle isn't favorable, or if the defender has positioned themselves perfectly, sometimes the smart play is to retain possession and wait for a better opportunity. The best dribblers pick their moments carefully, understanding that a failed take-on often leads to a dangerous turnover. Consider the game situation, your team's tactical needs, and the risk-reward ratio of each dribbling attempt. Sometimes drawing fouls or simply maintaining possession under pressure is more valuable than attempting a flashy skill move. Building elite instincts, the 4-step system. Step 1. Master 3. Signature moves. Most players make the mistake of trying to learn every skill move they see on YouTube. This approach backfires because when you're under pressure in a real game, you freeze with too many options. Elite dribblers focus on mastering just 3 moves that fit their playing style and position. If you're a winger who loves to take on defenders, your 3 moves might be the La Croqueta for quick lateral shifts, the step over to bait defenders and explode past them, and the roulette to escape pressure in tight spaces. If you're a midfielder, your selection might be different. The key is choosing moves that complement your natural playing style and the situations you commonly face. Step 2. Practice until it's automatic. Bruce Lee said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." This philosophy applies perfectly to football skills. It's better to practice 3 skills for dozens of hours than to practice hundreds of skills for a few minutes each. Start with static practice to learn the moves properly without pressure or speed, focusing on clean execution. Then add movement, starting slow and controlled before upgrading to match speed. The goal is to make these moves second nature, so they happen automatically without conscious thought. Step 3. Train with maximum intention. Once you've developed confidence in your moves, practice them with maximum intention. This means putting all your effort into executing them while imagining real defenders pressing you. Perform them without pre-planning, giving space to your creativity. In a real game, you don't get to stop and think. You have to trust the movement. When you train, don't just repeat moves for the sake of repetition. Go all in. Imagine defenders, feel the pressure, and execute with full confidence. If you've put in the hours properly, the skills will come out naturally when you need them most. Step 4. Apply in real game situations. The final step is applying your skills in pickup games, small-sided games, and training matches. This is the most crucial step because everything before this is like sharpening a sword blade but never going into battle. Find opportunities to play 3 versus 3 or 4 versus 4 games that force you into tight spaces where you must use your instincts. Only a fool would charge into battle with a dull blade, but a bigger fool would spend their entire life sharpening their blade and never going to battle. The whole point of all this training is to apply it in real situations where it matters. The science of superior ball control. Developing proprioception, your sixth sense. Proprioception is your body's ability to know where it is in space without looking. It's like a sixth sense that elite players develop to an extraordinary level. Close your eyes and put one hand on a table while letting the other float in the air. Even though you can't see your floating hand, you know exactly where it is. That's proprioception working. For dribblers, strong proprioception means controlling your body effortlessly while moving through space. If your proprioception is weak, your touches will feel inconsistent and your balance will be shaky. If it's strong, you'll glide past defenders like they aren't even there. Test your proprioception level by trying to juggle while blindfolded. World-class players like Neymar can do this effortlessly, demonstrating elite body awareness. Start by seeing how many juggles you can manage with your eyes closed, then work on improving this number through dedicated training. Training methods for enhanced awareness. Improve your proprioception through specific exercises. Hand juggling might sound strange, but it improves your ability to track movement without looking. Single leg balancing with eyes closed for 30+ seconds. Develop stability, awareness. Blindfolded dribbling forces your body to react without relying on sight, starting slowly and feeling the ball with your feet. Playing on uneven surfaces like sand, grass, or different textures forces your body to adapt in real time, making your footwork naturally smoother. When proprioception is highly developed, everything you do feels automatic. Your first touch, dribbling, and agility all flow effortlessly. Reading defenders, the chess match. Understanding body language. Reading the defender's body language gives you crucial information about which move to use. If their weight is on their heels, they're vulnerable to a quick burst of acceleration straight at them. If they're leaning to one side, that's your cue to go the opposite direction. If they're square and balanced, you need to create imbalance through deception before making your move. Watch their hips more than their feet. Feet can lie, but hips don't. When a defender's hips turn even slightly in one direction, they've committed their weight and momentum. This is your window to go the opposite way. Similarly, if you can get their hips facing the wrong direction through a convincing feint, they'll need extra time to recover and change direction. The psychology of pressure. Defenders hate uncertainty more than speed. A defender can cope with a fast player running straight at them, but they struggle immensely when they can't predict which direction you'll go. This is where selling the dummy becomes crucial. Before you even think about executing a skill move, you need to sell a direction convincingly enough that the defender commits their weight and momentum. Your body positioning tells a story to the defender, and you want to make sure it's a compelling lie. If you're planning to go left, everything about your body language should suggest you're going right until the very last moment. Lean your shoulders slightly right. Let your hips open that direction. Even let your eyes drift right for a split second, building unshakable confidence. Your success rate in one-on-one situations will improve dramatically when you start viewing each encounter as a chess match rather than a physical battle. The defender is trying to read your intentions while you're trying to manipulate theirs. The player who can control this mental game while executing clean technique under pressure will consistently come out on top. Confidence is contagious in both directions. If you approach defenders hesitantly, they'll sense it and become more aggressive in their defending. Conversely, if you approach with genuine confidence backed by solid technique, defenders often defeat themselves by overthinking or committing too early to a tackle. The path to mastering one-on-one situations lies in consistent practice of these fundamentals, combined with game situation experience. Every defender is different, and learning to quickly assess their weaknesses while disguising your strengths becomes an art form that separates good players from great ones. Remember, it's not about having the most skills in your arsenal, it's about perfectly executing the right move at the right moment with complete conviction. Two players, same natural ability, same amount of practice time. After 2 years, one plateaus while the other advances to elite levels. This scenario plays out constantly in football academies worldwide. What separates those who reach their potential from those who stall? The answer lies in a systematic approach to development that most players never discover. Today, we're breaking down the exact blueprint that produces fearless, creative players like Lamine Yamal, and how any serious player can apply these same principles to transform their game regardless of their starting point. 1. Master the fundamentals through deliberate practice. Most players waste countless hours practicing the wrong way. They focus on flashy skills that look impressive on Instagram but rarely translate to match performance. Meanwhile, elite academies build players from the ground up through what coaches call the touch triangle: first touch, passing, and shooting. These three fundamentals account for roughly 80% of what matters in actual matches. Your first touch is the foundation everything else builds upon. A precise first touch creates time and space. A poor one instantly puts you under pressure. At La Masia, Barcelona's famous academy, where Lamine Yamal developed, players spend up to 40% of technical training just on first touch variations, the decision making rather than power. Professional academies emphasize passing with purpose, understanding exactly why you're making each pass. Is it to advance position, to draw defenders, to create space elsewhere? Every pass should have intention behind it. Shooting technique, similarly, demands a quality-first approach. Notice how the best finishers rarely seem to strike the ball with maximum power. They focus on clean contact and placement. Study how clinical finishers use different techniques based on the situation. Side foot for precision, laces for power, outside of foot for curl. What separates deliberate practice from mindless repetition is the feedback loop. After each repetition, elite players ask themselves, what worked, what didn't, what adjustment will I make next time? This constant self-evaluation accelerates improvement dramatically. Don't just go through motions, engage your brain with every touch. 2. Develop football IQ through strategic watching. There's a profound difference between watching football for entertainment versus education. When you watch as a fan, you follow the ball. When you watch as a student, you study everything else. The most effective viewing technique is position-specific analysis. Choose a single player in your position and follow them exclusively for 10 to 15 minute stretches, even when they don't have the ball. Notice their positioning, movement patterns, decision-making, and spatial awareness. This focused observation develops pattern recognition that transfers directly to your own game. 3 professional analysis channels worth following are Tifo Football, Football Made Simple, and The Coach's Voice. These platforms break down tactical concepts in accessible ways that amateur players can immediately apply. Top academy players accelerate their learning through the notebook method. Keep a dedicated football journal where you diagram interesting plays, note tactical observations, and record questions for your coaches. Barcelona's academy famously has players review their own match footage and make notes on decision-making moments. A practice Yamal continues to this day. The key is learning to identify patterns that casual viewers miss. Where do top players position themselves during build-up play? How do they create space before receiving the ball? When do they choose to dribble versus pass? Train your eye to see these details, and your own football intelligence will grow exponentially even when you're away from the pitch. 3. Maximize real game experience. Scientific research confirms what great coaches have always known. Nothing accelerates development like actual match play. A study of European academies found that players with more competitive game minutes develop tactical awareness 2 to 3 times faster than those focusing primarily on isolated drills. Finding regular games is crucial regardless of your current level. Look for local leagues, organized pickup games through apps like Meetup or Footy Addicts, or even start regular games with friends. The key is consistency. 2 to 3 games weekly provides the repetition needed for rapid improvement. Lama state occurs naturally when you're challenged just beyond your comfort level. Seek games with players slightly better than you to induce this productive discomfort. Making mistakes in games isn't just acceptable, it's essential. Barcelona's coaches specifically encourage young players to attempt difficult skills in game situations, knowing that failed attempts provide critical learning opportunities. Yamal's fearless dribbling style developed precisely because he was given freedom to fail and learn rather than being punished for creative risks. Small-sided games, 3v3, 4v4, 5v5, offer particularly concentrated development. With fewer players, you get more touches, more decisions, and more learning opportunities per minute. Yamal frequently participates in small-sided training games that emphasize creativity and quick decision-making, an approach that directly translates to his confident play in full matches. 4. Identify and leverage your unique playing style. Professional scouts don't look for perfect players. They look for distinctive ones with standout qualities. Understanding your natural strengths is the foundation of accelerated development. Top academies use comprehensive strength assessment techniques to identify each player's natural advantages. Evaluate yourself honestly across multiple dimensions: technical, dribbling, passing, shooting, physical, speed, strength, stamina, tactical, positioning, decision-making, and mental, confidence, focus, resilience. Which areas come most naturally to you? Focusing on your natural talents rather than trying to be well-rounded is counter. Developing your signature move gives opponents something specific to fear. Study how Yamal consistently attacks defenders on their outside shoulder before cutting inside. A straightforward move executed with such precision that defenders struggle to stop it despite knowing it's coming. Your own signature move might be a perfectly timed overlapping run, an unexpected change of direction, or a particular type of finish. The success stories of players like Jamie Vardy, lightning counterattack speed, Olivier Giroud, aerial dominance, or N'Golo Kanté, interception ability, demonstrate how specialists often outperform generalists. Each built their career by maximizing specific natural advantages rather than trying to correct every weakness. When addressing weaknesses, focus only on those that directly impact your effectiveness in your preferred position and style. A creative number 10 needs adequate defensive awareness, but needn't become a tackling specialist. A defensive midfielder must have basic passing ability, but doesn't need elite dribbling skills. This counterintuitive approach, knowing which weaknesses to fix and which to simply manage, accelerates development dramatically. Fifth, physical development blueprint. Physical preparation is where many ambitious players waste energy on generic fitness rather than football-specific development. The most effective fitness routine for footballers centers around 3 key elements: cardiovascular endurance for sustained performance, explosive power for sprints and jumps, and functional strength for duos and stability. Elite academies typically dedicate 2 to 3 sessions weekly to these components, each lasting 45 to 60 minutes. Position-specific physical training recognizes that different roles have different demands. Wingers like Yamal focus on repeated sprint ability and change of direction. Central defenders emphasize strength and jumping power. Midfielders develop exceptional aerobic capacity for covering large distances. Tailor your physical work to your positional requirements rather than following generic programs. Nutrition fundamentals for footballers are straightforward but non-negotiable. Prioritize carbohydrates for fuel, especially before matches and training. Protein for recovery, 1.6 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight daily, and consistent hydration. Monitoring urine color is a simple, effective method. Meal timing matters too. Consume carbohydrates 2 to 3 hours before activity and protein within 30 minutes after for optimal recovery. Recovery techniques that prevent injuries have evolved dramatically in recent years. Beyond basic stretching, elite players use contrast therapy, alternating hot and cold exposure, compression garments during travel, and structured sleep hygiene protocols. The most underrated recovery method remains quality sleep. Aim for 8 to 10 hours nightly with consistent sleep and wake times. Training for explosive speed versus endurance depends on your specific needs. Acceleration, 0 to 10 meters, improves through plyometric training like jump squats and bounding exercises. Maximum speed, flying sprints, develops through proper sprint mechanics and targeted gym work. Endurance comes from carefully programmed interval training that mimics the stop-start nature of matches rather than continuous running. 6. Master the mental game. The psychological component of football separates good players from great ones, yet receives the least attention in typical development programs. Visualization techniques used by World Cup winners involve more than just positive thinking. Before critical matches, elite players mentally rehearse specific scenarios in vivid detail, how they'll receive the ball under pressure, execute difficult skills, and respond to setbacks. Spend 5 to 10 minutes daily visualizing successful performance with all senses engaged. See the movements, hear the stadium, feel the ball contact. Yamal's fearless approach against established defenders isn't accidental. He maintains composure through a combination of preparation and perspective, understanding that football's greatest risk isn't failure, but hesitation. In interviews, he's mentioned focusing on the opportunity rather than the potential for criticism. This mindset can be developed through gradually increasing challenge levels in training and embracing moments of productive discomfort. Pre-game rituals build confidence through familiarity. Study how consistent top players' preparation routines are. The same warm-up exercises, the same mental reset points, the same equipment checks. Develop your own consistent ritual that centers your focus regardless of external circumstances. The reset button technique used by elite performers allows them to bounce back instantly from mistakes. When errors occur, have a physical trigger, like clapping your hands once or taking a deep breath, that signals your mind to refocus on the present moment. This prevents one mistake from cascading into a poor overall performance. Building resilience happens through intentional exposure to pressure. In training, create consequence-based scenarios. Penalty shootouts, where the losing team does extra conditioning. Skill challenges with specific targets, or small-sided games with evolving rules that increase difficulty. These manufactured pressure situations develop the psychological muscles needed for real match stress. 7. Conclusion. The implementation plan. Set realistic timelines for improvement. Technical skills typically show noticeable advancement in 4 to 6 weeks of consistent practice. Physical attributes may take 8 to 12 weeks to demonstrate significant change. Tactical understanding develops continuously, but usually shows clear improvement after 15 to 20 competitive matches. Finding the right mentors and training partners might be the most underrated accelerator of development. Seek players slightly better than you who push your limits. Find coaches who understand your specific goals and learning style. Create a small group committed to mutual improvement through shared sessions and constructive feedback. Finally, remember that persistence trumps talent in the long run. Every elite player, including young phenoms like Yamal, faced moments of doubt and plateaus in their development. The difference wasn't natural ability, but unwavering commitment to the process. Your development journey will have highs and lows. Embrace both as necessary parts of growth. The blueprint is clear, the methods are proven. The only question remaining is, are you ready to commit to the systematic approach that transforms potential into performance? The gap between where you are and where you could be is smaller than you think, but only if you're willing to follow the path that most players never discover. No more excuses, your transformation starts today. You probably saw it happen again. That same guy in your team, the quiet one who barely talks during training, suddenly dominated the match on Sunday. 3 goals, 2 assists and moves you've never seen him do before. Your coach was shocked, your teammates were impressed, and you're left wondering, what the hell is he doing that I'm not? I'll tell you exactly what he's doing. He's playing football alone. Not all the time, but in those hidden hours when no one's watching. When you're scrolling through reels of pros, doing fancy skills you'll never try, he's outside connecting with the ball on a level most players will never experience. Here's the truth no one wants to admit. Team training isn't enough. Not even close. Look at the legends. Cristiano doesn't just show up for Manchester United or Portugal training and call it a day. Messi didn't become Messi by only touching the ball when Barcelona told him to. Neymar wasn't born doing rainbow flicks in official Santos training sessions. They all share one secret: they fell in love with playing alone. And today, I'm going to show you how to transform your solo sessions from boring repetitive drills into the most powerful weapon in your football arsenal. But first, we need to address the elephant in the pitch. Modern football training has killed the natural connection between player and ball. Coaches obsess over systems, transitions, and tactical periodization, while players barely touch the ball for 15 minutes in a 90-minute session. You stand in lines, waiting for your turn. You run through cones that have nothing to do with real football. You do fitness tests that measure everything except what matters, your relationship with the ball. And the worst part? You've been conditioned to believe this is normal. That improvement comes from copying workout PDFs and following TikTok training clips. Let me be brutally honest. If you keep training this way, you'll never reach your potential. Never. The players who truly elevate, who make the game look effortless, have rediscovered what the academies took away. Pure, unstructured, joyful time alone with the ball. The solo revolution. So how do you actually train alone the right way? It starts with understanding the 3 pillars of solo mastery. First, instinctive connection. Football happens too fast for conscious thought. By the time you've processed what to do with the ball, the moment is gone. The defender has closed you down. The passing lane has disappeared. Elite players don't think, they feel. This instinctive connection begins with daily touch work, not the robotic 100 touches with your left, 100 with your right kind of practice. I'm talking about mindful, present connection with the ball. Start every solo session with barefoot juggling, just 15 minutes. Your feet have over 7,000 nerve endings that create a feedback loop directly to your brain. Modern boots kill this sensation. Go barefoot, and you'll immediately notice how differently you respond to the ball. Feel the weight of it, the texture, how it responds to different surfaces of your foot. Don't count reps, that's missing the point. Instead, focus on the sensation of each touch. Then move into what I call shadow play. Find an open space and simply dance with the ball. No cones, no predetermined patterns, just you responding to an imaginary opponent. Change direction, accelerate, slow down, use both feet. Let your body decide what to do before your mind gets involved. This isn't just messing around, it's programming your nervous system to make decisions without conscious interference. It's building the muscle memory that separates good players from great ones. Second, technical precision. Now that we've awakened the instinct, we need to sharpen the tools. Find a wall, any wall. This will become your most valuable training partner because unlike humans, walls don't get tired, don't cancel, and don't judge your mistakes. Start with simple passing. One touch, clean strikes, different surfaces of your foot. Focus on receiving the ball softly as it rebounds. Feel how your body needs to adjust when the ball comes back slightly off center. Then progress to 2-touch combinations. Control with your weaker foot, pass with your stronger one. Then reverse it. Create patterns that challenge you but don't frustrate you. After 20 minutes of wall work, move to first touch conditioning. Throw the ball high, let it bounce, and control it instantly into a dribbling position. Repeat this 50 times, challenging yourself to control balls that come at difficult angles or heights. Remember, in a real match, you rarely receive perfect passes. Train for imperfection. The wall doesn't lie. If your technique is sloppy, the ball will tell you immediately. Clean technique produces clean rebounds. This instant feedback loop accelerates your learning faster than any coach shouting instructions from the sideline. Third, positional identity. The final pillar addresses a problem I see constantly. Players who don't know who they are on the pitch. You can't be everything to everyone. The most effective players have clarity about their strengths, weaknesses, and positional identity. During your solo sessions, visualize game situations specific to your position. If you're a winger, practice receiving with your back to the touchline, then exploding past an imaginary defender toward the box. If you're a striker, work on hold-up play and quick turns for shooting. Don't just practice random skills that look good on Instagram. Practice movements that solve problems you actually face in matches. Ask yourself, what moments do I struggle with most during games? What situations make me hesitate or make poor decisions? These are exactly what you should recreate in your solo training, the weekly formula. So how do we put this all together? Here's the proven weekly solo training formula. For every team session you have, add 2 solo sessions focused on these 3 pillars. If you train with your team 3 times a week, that's 6 total football sessions, a perfect balance. Each solo session should look like this. Start with 15 minutes of barefoot juggling and ball connection. Feel every touch. Move to 20 minutes of wall work, focusing on clean passes and first touch control. Spend 20 minutes on position-specific shadow play, visualizing real game scenarios. Finish with 15 minutes of free play. No structure, just joy. Reconnect with why you fell in love with football in the first place. The key is consistency. 3 months of this approach will transform your game more than a year of standard team training alone, beyond physical training. But here's what most solo training videos never talk about: the mental dimension. When you train alone, you have a rare opportunity to reprogram how you see yourself as a player. This is where visualization becomes powerful. During your solo sessions, don't just go through mechanical motions. Create a movie in your mind. See yourself executing these same movements in actual matches. Feel the pressure of defenders. Hear the crowd. Sense the importance of the moment. This mental rehearsal creates neural pathways identical to actually performing the action in a game. Your brain doesn't distinguish between vivid visualization and real experience. The world's top players don't just practice physically, they practice mentally, seeing themselves succeed countless times before it happens on match day. The final truth. Let me leave you with the most important truth about playing football alone. It's not just about getting more touches or improving technique. It's about rekindling the pure, childlike connection with the ball that probably made you fall in love with football in the first place. Before coaches, before tactics, before pressure, there was just you and the ball. That relationship is the foundation of everything. The players who reach their ceiling are the ones who never lose this connection, or those brave enough to rebuild it. So tomorrow, don't check your phone first thing. Don't scroll through football clips wishing you could do what they do. Instead, grab your ball, go outside, take off your shoes, and just play. No structure, no expectations, no judgment. Reconnect with the joy that started it all. Because that connection, that pure, unfiltered love for the simple act of playing with a ball, is the secret weapon that separates those who reach their potential from those who always wonder what could have been. Now the choice is yours. Will you be the player who waits for others to make you better? Or will you take responsibility for your own development? Playing alone isn't just an option for serious footballers. It's the obligation of anyone who truly wants to become exceptional. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Make sure to check out the free guides listed down below, but most importantly, enjoy the beautiful game.